Hello Linux learners, welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be starting a series on starting with Linux, part 1. Let's get started. And on a side note, today we won't have much hands-on training, so be aware of that. I'm just explaining the basics of Linux and breaking it down. Learning what Linux is. From smartphones to cars, supercomputers, home appliances, the Linux operating system is everywhere. Linux is an operating system, and an operating system is a software that supports a computer's basic functions, like running applications, scheduling tasks, controlling the file system, and much more. Where did Linux come from? Okay, time for a history lesson. Linux got its name from Linus. Linus was a student at the University of Helsinki in Finland, where he had been using Minix. The history of Linux began in 1991 with the launch of a personal project, Finnish student Linus Torvalds, to create a new free operating system kernel. Since then, the resulting Linux kernel has been marked by consistent growth throughout its history. And this means that Linux comes out with new versions, like how I'm using Red Hat Linux 6. Now the newest version is Red Hat Linux 7.3. And all that means is that it keeps updating and upgrading. Different Linux distributions. From what Linus Torvalds project, we now have different spin-offs of Linux, like Red Hat, the one I love, CentOS, Debian, SUSE, and Unix. Okay, choosing a Linux distribution. The way you choose a Linux distribution is by knowing what you want, as in what you'd want to do with Linux, what you are familiar with. Like if you're familiar with Red Hat, CentOS, Windows, Mac, pick a Linux distribution you're familiar with, like anyone you've tried. Like there are over 1,000 Linux distributions, so I think there's one out there for you. What you know that might help you, in your career and in your job. And what you're going to become, are you going to become a Linux admin? Are you going to work for Google, Facebook, Metro? Okay. Job opportunities and being a Linux professional. There are lots of different things you can do with Linux, like working for Google. And Google has a Linux-based platform. Linux is one of the most important technology advancements in the 21st century, and Google runs thousands upon thousands of Linux servers to power its search technology, Apache web servers, MySQL database, and PHP web scripting language, and all open source projects. Okay, and designing applications for Metro. How do you think Metro gets all its workers to get their work done? How do you think in the winter, how do you think they gather all their workers and tell them to plow snow? No, it's a Linux application that's telling them. It'll give them updates and news on what to do. And also flash flood warnings. They're also Linux applications. And making your own personal social media. Okay, you could make the next Snapchat, the next Facebook. And in fact, Facebook itself uses an open source development model, making source codes for the applications and tools. that drive Facebook available to the public. This model has helped Facebook share out bugs quickly, get contributions from around the world, and fuel Facebook's exponential growth. Okay? Yeah. And there are a couple different ways to become a Linux professional / administrator. You can take the certification, and for my fellow middle school students, you could start picking up interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you start picking up the interest in STEM, and branch off to Linux, the sky would be your limit. And for the adult career path, the way you could become a Linux system admin is take certified classes, do an online study, anything that works for you. And then get out into the field. So, guys, I have adults coming up to me asking me why they don't get the job. And I say, did you take the certification? And they say no. So make sure you have some sort of physical certification that shows that you've done Linux. And most big companies that hire Linux professionals, they want like 6 months to a year use of Linux. That way they're assured that you know what Linux is. Okay, and also big government company agencies use Linux to run their applications, like NASA, Lucky Martin, and Booz Allen. And yeah, and on to the next slide. Practical uses for Linux in depth. For my young generation, Linux does more things than you think, and even now you're using Linux. You probably just don't know it. The cell phone. In the cell phone, in Android to be specific, you don't just play games and watch videos. Right here is what's going on while you're playing those games or watching a YouTube video. And Linux isn't that complicated. And Linux won't be going anywhere anytime soon, so you might as well start playing around with it, like install Red Hat, log into your terminal, and start messing around with the commands and see what you get. That's a fun way to learn Linux for my fellow 12-year-olds. And your Xbox / PS4. For people who play GTA and my NBA Live, this is what's going on while you're running the game. Right now, it's showing behind the scenes in GTA. As you could see, all these little lines, and these lines are called scripts. There's a difference between commands and scripts, and I'll explain that later on. But these are called scripts, like if you press A, B, A, X, or Y, this is what's going on. And for your home security system. Your security system you have at home is also Linux. And Linux is very, very, very good at security. It has over 1,000 security systems / options. And all people do is take those security scripts and put them and break them down and put them as a security system. And all of this is Linux. Linux won't be going anywhere soon. So might as well pick interest in it now. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. And to my young people, if you are interested, please contact me. Let's form a group. Let's learn Linux together. I could teach you all I know, and yeah, let's play around with Linux. Let's see what we could create. Like Facebook, they just bought a group of friends and started playing around with Linux, and they're the biggest social media ever to be created. So yeah guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you learned something new today. And always remember, you're never too little to learn Linux.